This episode of InCamp Podcast is brought to you by Bird Dog Custom Woodwork. A friend of mine started a business, and his business partner and he are using premium wood materials to make some awesome products for your home. Cabinetry, benches, tables, cutting boards, and from the hunting side of things, some pretty awesome plaque mounts for tail fans. Whether it's a pheasant, a grouse, a turkey, you name it, it can go on your wall and be something that you have to preserve a memory for a long time. I actually got to take my daughter out on a really cool pheasant hunt this year. She wanted to see our bird dog do some work, and it was her first time really understanding upland hunting. So I took her out and we shot a pheasant together, and it was one of the coolest moments that we got to share. And she thought that was just one of the neatest things. And now that pheasant tail is in a Bird Dog Custom Woodwork plaque that is hanging in my podcasting suite. I really enjoy getting to see that thing every time I come down here. So you need to check these guys out. Again, it's a small business, so they have a little Etsy shop built. You can check them out at Bird Dog Custom Woodwork on Instagram. Thanks a lot. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. You're listening to InCamp Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Hepler. Today, I have back on the show Rich Yoder. You all love him. You all have loved every single podcast he's been on with me. But I love hearing from him too, because he's a good buddy of mine. So this one, it's, there's some really good turkey stories in here, some kind of fun stuff we talk about in the beginning. We did a little shed hunting trip in the spring and had some fun up there. So we talk a little bit about some of the fun we got to have up there with the neighbors. But the cool thing about this episode is we haven't done anything like this yet. Bow fishing. If you haven't tried it, you need to try bow fishing. It's a pretty kind of inexpensive way, or you can make it expensive if you want to, but a real expensive way to really have some fun in the summer, do something different and something that's not a lot of pressure and just a lot of fun. So find somebody that'll go with you. Find somebody that'll kind of show you the ropes. Feel free to message if you've got some questions about it. But this episode is a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy it. I know you will, because I know this audience. If you would, at the end of the show, follow the show. If you've been listening to it and you love it, or maybe you don't really like it, but you kind of want to see what's going on, because you're not sure, keep coming back. Either way, keep coming back. I really appreciate you guys all taking the time to listen and for all the messages and things, all the reaching out, all that. I love it. Love hearing from y'all, but it does really help the show if you follow it. And like I said, I'm happy to chat. So hit me up. Check out the links in the show notes. There's going to be an ad in here for Turkeys for Forever. So make sure you hit that. And if you got any questions, you can message me or message Howie Miller. So check that out too. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you for listening to me ramble here at the beginning. I hope you enjoy it. This is InCamp Podcast. I have dreams about their leek dip that they made, because that stuff was so good.
So I should have taken a selfie as I was I went for a loop the last hour on Saturday, and there was two gobblers that kind of like responded to me throughout the day. Both were just out of reach, and I know they were henned up. The one was going just straight away from me, but still gobbling back to me. So for the last hour, I did a loop, and I basically like went from our property around, and then I knew the neighbor might be up. Well, I knew one of the neighbor's buddies might be hunting. So it was just pretty hilarious. Usually before I start turkey season, and I'm not like a phenomenal turkey caller. Like, I feel like I'm a good replicated caller. Like, if I hear somebody make a sound, I can usually duplicate it. So I will listen to is it Bo Brooks? Right?
Yeah, I'm not very well versed in.
Yeah,
Chris Parrish
his dad
is the guy that I know the most on turkey calling.
His dad shot that world record elk in Washington.
Oh yeah.
I think it's Bo Brooks. So there's 3 videos that I'll watch of his. So, I had Jay Miller's calls. So literally on the way up to camp the first weekend, I got myself tuned up and got them calls tuned in how I wanted them. And I felt like they were sounding really good. So as I'm like coming around the valley, so I get in there and there's a sound that I'll do that they respond to well. but I'm just gonna go ahead and say that it's really not a turkey sound, but it kind of is. It's not that I'm making a full not a cluck. Jeez, give me something
Cluck,
here.
purr, kiki,
Nope,
yelp,
nope,
yelp,
yelp.
yelp, yelp.
I'm not making yep. Oh, I couldn't think of that. But I'm not making a full
Yeah.
yelp. I basically cut it off so it's really high
Mm.
pitched, and it ends up just being.
That's a kiki run.
But okay, okay. They respond to that very well. So I'm literally just working my way around the mountain. You can see how educated I am on turkey hunting and how serious I am. So, you just pitch a call down real tight, and I just make that sound. So as I'm coming around the mountain, literally the neighbor starts calling to me. And mind you, I've been doing this like slowly as I'm progressing and getting closer. And I'm like, he's got to know that it's me. Maybe he doesn't know that. Why would he think it's me? You know what I mean? I'm like, I came from off the mountain. So I was giggling so hard because I'm there. I get a little closer. I'm like, all right, I know where he's at. There's 15 minutes left and I could see leaks. And I was like, I'm going to go pick some leaks. So I'm literally on my knees, my shotgun's against a tree. I'm popping leaks out, putting stuff in my pockets with
So
leaks.
good.
And I would stuff my pockets and I would just go and freak. he would start yelping back to me. I was dying. I was like, oh, this is ridiculous.
Funny. Yeah. So we're talking about some friends that live at a place near where we have Rich has his cabin, and we go to hunt, and we spent some time shed hunting up there this spring. They're sweetest people, and they brought us some homemade leek dip. I think I ate half that jar. It was delicious. Yeah. Some leek dip and pickled quailed eggs they had there. That was
it only made it. I mean, we came home Sunday. Thursday it was done.
It's so good.
Yeah, Thursday it was done, and then actually, Turkey opening weekend of Turkey. Yeah. Judd and I made it again.
So good.
So yeah, I picked leeks out of the yard, made it again, and it was just funny because they gave me like their base recipe, and then they came over that night, and it was made. I don't know, like he's like, hey, it's not a like throw it together, whip it up, and then you're done.
Yeah.
He's like, you're mixing it. It's a cream cheese base, so it's really stiff to start. You kind of add mayonnaise if you want to cream it up a little bit. So as it goes, though, the flavor progresses. Yeah. So everybody's trying this, and we're like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You need sriracha. So she goes and gets sriracha, comes back up, and I mean, I'm literally holding the container sideways, and I'm squirting it in, and Jeff goes, that should be enough. And I whip it up. And I'm telling you, it was like night and day. I was like, oh man, and we all sat there just eating it.
Yeah, that's great.
So I've got maybe like, I might have 2 tablespoons left that I brought home. Man.
That stuff's so good.
Yeah.
I think next year when we go, if we're not in Iowa shed hunting next year, we need to pick some leeks up there. Cause that stuff, man, can't beat them. They were good. Oh yeah. They're pretty strong. The cabin was a little, Everybody ate leek dip. You could tell.
Yeah. So I actually think the morning breath is by far the worst. Because like when you're eating it, you're kind of like, it's like a heavy garlic. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like it's a real strong onion. No. Like, I feel like it's a mix between a garlic and an onion.
Like chive kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Green onionish. Yeah. But the next morning, like when I get up, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I know my breath is kicking. Yeah, twice Rachel's like, you're not allowed to eat that stuff anymore.
But it's so good.
It is so good.
We always eat like so much food when we go up there too, man. We ate 4 pounds of cheesesteak, sloppy the chopped cheese when we were up there, and like 5 people, 4 pounds of it's good, man. So we're recording what's today? May 13th. I killed a turkey. Judd killed a turkey. You didn't kill a turkey yet, but you've heard a bunch of them. And you've told me that you don't hate the turkeys that much, so it's fine. But man, I'll tell you what. I have heard more turkeys this year than I have heard in probably 12 years. Like,
it seems to be a good group.
They're gobbling like crazy. So what we're really having this podcast for is because I really needed you to share with us your expertise on bow fishing. Because I'd never shot a bow at a fish until I've always wanted to do that kind of thing, but you kind of showed me the rope as many things. You showed me the ropes on that last year, man, and I had a blast. But we've gotten this far. We're 20 minutes in, and I haven't even said. I'm sure you recognize the voice because he is a frequented, multi-time InCamp guest, Rich Yoder, and he has a curfew of 10 p.m. tonight.
I've been told the same thing.
She was like,
That's what.
he's having a podcast tonight. I was like, yeah. And she's like, you're not allowed to keep him up past 10. And I was like, we'll see.
Yeah, that's what she told me too. We'll see.
It should be fine. But dude, how did you, I guess, tell me about what really piqued your interest in bow fishing, and then we'll kind of get into other stuff on it, you know?
So a buddy of mine, I mean, I was probably only, I can tell you how old I was 22.
Mm-hmm.
A buddy of mine, he was a couple years older. He was into bow fishing, and like he didn't have a boat. They would kind of just go like walk creeks and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I had a boat. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure that I went with him one time, and I still had like the spool that would go on the end of the
And you
bow,
have to
and
wind,
I had it
hand
on
wind
a
it.
recurve.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just hand wind it, and he had an AMS set up, and I went with him one time, or took him, or vice versa, however you want to call it. But my boat, we went, and I mean, I was just hooked instantly. I was like, this is freaking awesome. We can sling arrows at fish. So I bought one setup, and then I figured out quick that I'm gonna, you know how I roll. I need two setups so I could take a friend. So I got another setup. So
Tell people
my
your
buddy
theory on that
Aaron,
real quick, though. Why do you do that?
well, so it's always fun to do things with other
Uh-huh.
people. And part of it is, and don't get me wrong, that's like, you know what I mean? Like, I know deer hunting, I don't need to buy things and have stuff for other people, but it's like I get into these hobbies that are kind of like outside of the realm of the norm. You know, somebody might have a bow fishing bow, but most bow fishing bows are like, you know, old beat up bows that somebody just threw a cheap AMS setup on.
Yeah.
And I just learned, you know, don't get me wrong, when I first started, I had the standard AMS setups, which are
Yeah.
fun. But like as time progressed, you know, they have a high speed reel, like a AMS
Yeah.
Pro. That's what I ended up going with. So, and at the time, I was actually shooting bows for Alpine
Uh-huh.
archery. So Alpine's not even around
Yeah.
anymore. But their whole bow fishing section was literally just like shit that I
Yeah.
killed. I would send them photos, they'd put it in the magazine, and I got bows for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
So I bought Alpine bows, I set them all up, and we could take as many people as we want to go. But my theory is just that if I know that I have the equipment, I can always talk somebody into going and doing something. And honestly, at the end of the day, like even like to go down and shoot stingrays, you know, back in the day, I think I was paid $130 for a bow and the AMS setup. And that's when we were doing a ton of seminars.
Uh-huh.
You had a vendor badge, you got a crazy discount on stuff. The reels weren't very expensive either.
Yeah.
But I knew if I had the equipment and I wanted to go to Delaware and shoot stingrays for the day, I could talk three people into splitting fuel and tolls with me to go down, considering that I had all the equipment. So it was kind of like a retarded way of making a good investment.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is, man. I mean, and don't get me wrong, like when Rich gets this, you get this like, you know, people talk about like a runner's high where like people are running and they get like this tingly feeling, like nostalgia, and like, oh, I'm on it now. Rich gets that way when you're in like numbers game, like when you're catching a lot of fish or when you're shooting a lot of fish or when you could be shooting a lot of fish.
Yeah.
And I know if you don't have the right equipment for that kind of thing, obviously you could still have a good time. Like, and don't get me wrong, like bow fishing is like, it's kind of a budget thing. You could probably do pretty well on a low Amazon bow, whatever, maybe, for like carp and things like that.
Absolutely.
But when you got the right equipment, man, I mean, so the first time you take me carp fishing, we're planning to go bull fishing stingrays. That was, we were like, oh yeah, but you're like, man, you ever shoot at a fish with a bow yet? And I'm like, no, like I've always wanted to, just never really, I didn't set my bow up for that or whatever and feel like taking all that stuff off and on and whatever. And I never set a bow up for that. And you're like, all right, well, we got to go practice. We're going to go shoot some carp. I don't remember what it was about that. It was like mildly rainy, but we found all that grass and we
Yeah.
shot easily 100 times a piece,
Oh yeah.
if not more. And I think I shot 3 carp and you shot like 29 or something ridiculous. But like just the speed at which you're like, oh, carp, boom, and you gotta like, man, you're like on it. So what's something that you think is important for somebody trying to get into bow fishing? Is there a way to practice other than just the exposure? And what can you expect when you get on the water and you're ready to shoot a bow?
So first thing I'll say is vision, which you learned
Yeah,
that
real
day.
quick.
Vision is going to be more important than honestly anything. And that
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's daytime or at night.
Yeah.
Daytime, I was always a big fan, even if it was sunny out. I was a big fan of amber lens
Mm.
glasses just because no matter what, you could always see. If it was bright, yeah, it was a little brighter. But when it gets cloudy and you have darks on or blues or anything like
Yeah.
that, like you're kind of
Yeah.
screwed. So, vision's going to be number one. We could talk about boat lights later, but lighting on boats is very important.
Yeah.
And being able to understand contrast and what you're seeing and what you're going to try and aim at. But when you get it, and again, it doesn't matter. I remember the second bow that I bought to actually do this with was I think I'm going to say this right, Matthews Genesis.
Yeah, they have like,
you remember they're youth bows, infinite draw length.
yeah, they're still the ones that they use for like the archery programs and school stuff. And
Yes, exactly. So I had one of those for a spare bow, and I had plenty of people that shot a ton of fish with those things. It was like 30-pound draw, not much, but just not a lot of schwupp.
Yeah.
And what I came to learn was that if I had a very set draw length, and again, I'm 30-inch draw standard, so I shoot like a 24 or 25-inch draw for bow fishing. I like 50 pounds. 45 to 50 is great. I shoot 50 pounds. That's more so for the stingrays.
Yeah.
And also, we would target a lot of big catfish, which would be a foot under. You'd be shooting 5 feet down. So you had to have a little ass behind the arrow to get it there. Yeah. But, once you get on the water, everybody that kind of knows anything about bow fishing or even thinks you're going to get into it, the water acts like a mirror. You got to aim under your target. That's where your target truly is. It's kind of like I don't really want to call it a mirror, like a, looking through the back of a mirror kind of deal where the image is, where the image is.
Distorted reflection or whatever. Yeah.
And that's going to be a judgment call based on depth and distance. So I would say, daytime's usually the easiest for people to see carp and kind of like aim and figure that all out. But nighttime, you'll get the closest.
Sure.
So you can really hone your skills at night, but it's a different game from daytime to nighttime. Yeah. And the contrast is way harder where you're going to look at a full glowing fish versus like you saw a dark spot in the weeds. You just got to know what it is.
Yeah.
So there's some difference there. A lot of guys there's a lot of variety in the types of bows and setups that you can use. And there's a lot more modern equipment, honestly, now than even what I'm still shooting. Yeah. They got big mouth reels. They've got reels that are basically like, remember like the old Zebco 404s, like the big push buttons, but they're just giant. Yeah. So the issue I always had with those was that, the line to run those is thinner.
Right.
So it didn't matter if I was on the river. Like if we're shooting carp on the river, a lot of times we would shoot carp on the river when it was like February and March, real cold. So you'd put your boat over top of a big log jam and you're just waiting for one to basically come out of the log jam and you shoot it.
Right.
Well, you're not reeling anything through a log jam no matter what. Yeah. So you put your bow down, you grab your line, you pull it out. So if you're shooting smaller carp, which honestly, most people all around the country that are shooting carp are truly not shooting the carp like we have at our lake. Like those little, and mind you, we shot good carp that
Yeah, we
day.
shot a lot of good
Like if
carp.
you go at night, it's a whole different ball game. They're like average 15 inches at
Yeah,
night. No joke. Like they're a
a
lot
lot
smaller.
smaller.
Yeah. So, you can shoot them and crank them right in on anything. But, you're shooting big flatheads.
Yeah,
Those you're not just cranking in.
right.
You're going to put the bow down. You're going to grab the line. And then you're looking at stingrays. Most guys bottle a
Uh-huh.
stingray. You shoot it, you're going to let a bottle fly, and then you're going to run them down, shoot them again.
Right.
You're basically, shooting them like Jaws with the barrels.
Yes.
But we don't do that. We shoot them. You put your bow down, you grab a hold of your line, you muscle it to the boat, and you kill
Yeah.
it. So the more modern stuff that takes a thinner line or even the more higher speed reels just truly doesn't interest
Yeah.
me because I just can't put as heavy duty a line on it that I can just grab a hold of
Right.
um, and basically do anything I need to it. You saw how that line was when we were shooting
Yeah.
stingrays. I mean, that stuff gets all looped through the boat. It's around your feet.
Yeah.
It gets kind of, abrased on things and you just keep an eye on it, but you really don't have too much trouble with it.
No, not at all. And that the tangling stuff doesn't really happen. Like the line is tangle
Correct.
resistant. I would say,
Yeah. Yeah. You'll get little knots in it, but they're easy to get out.
Yeah. I think the bow fishing thing is such a really cool thing to do in the off season, especially if you're a bow hunter. Do you ever see that? Do you ever have a hard time? So you're shooting a really short draw length, like we're pulling it back to our nose basically and kind of letting it fly, and really relying on instinct type shooting or kind of looking, lining the shaft up or whatever. Do you find that it's hard to transition between like big game hunting, like shooting a bow like you regularly would compared to shooting a bow at a fish like that when it's kind of two different styles? Do you find that shooting a bow at fish helps you in your regular archery skills?
I don't.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'll really say this is that I do like to shoot a longbow. And I've only ever shot one deer with my longbow, but every year I kind of practice with it. I have it ready to go if I'm going to go do something where, maybe I know there's a lesser buck that I want to shoot, or I know I'm going to be really close. I can promise you, if I would take one of my bow fishing bows, just that aiming system makes sense to me. You give me a longbow, I'm like 10 yards and under, and I'm okay. It's crazy. I mean, I remember years ago, this is just funny because I was always a pretty good shot with the bow fishing equipment. And I've shot a lot of fish, so rightfully so, I guess. So we were fishing down in Delaware, and we had a buddy driving the boat all day, and he really just was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna drive the boat and have fun, listen to music." He's like, "You guys just shoot." And multiple times we're like, "Do you want to come up here and shoot?" He's like, "No, no, just have fun." So we're shooting fish, and my one buddy had a foam koozie. So, he finished his beer and he was down in the bottom, and I think he like put it on top of the console and the koozie flies off. And it's not like super windy, but it's windy enough. And I'm like, "Here, I'll get your koozie for you." So boom, I shoot this freaking koozie, with my bow fishing bow. And he's just like, "What the heck?" I'm like, "I shoot a lot of stuff with this bow. Like it just is what it is." But if I had my longbow, like I wouldn't, maybe a pie plate, like I can't figure out how to make that transition. I almost feel like what I should do, because I do shoot a striker, aluminum riser longbow. I should honestly put one of my AMS setups on that longbow for a summer and shoot fish with it. And if I had half a brain, that would probably tune me up real well for shooting deer with the longbow. But I just haven't done that. I guess I don't want to wreck it. All my bow fishing bows are they're pretty beat up.
I mean, they get used, man. They're used.
They get used, yeah. They get thrown and dropped and run around the back of the truck and bouncing off the boat.
Yeah. Weeds and salt and all the things.
Yeah. Everything.
What about conditions when you're bow fishing? What do you kind of look for? Is it like a pretty standard thing for if you're fishing on like freshwater versus saltwater, or are there specifics? So maybe talk about freshwater first, maybe the conditions you're looking for.
So if it's going to be a river, of course you want it to be clear. I really don't mind a cloudy day. Cloudy days are good because they're not seeing you as well as they would if you're going to get a full sunny day with
Right.
contrast. Definitely got to make sure you got the right
Yeah.
lenses or you'll have a lot of trouble. And moving water is a little different than standing water. A lot of times moving water, they're going to sit for you.
So maybe a little
You
chop
know,
on the top if it's a lake or something like that.
yeah. Yeah. And moving water, a lot of times, if they're under structure, they're already
Yeah.
moving to basically stay where they're at. And there's stuff passing by them constantly.
Yeah.
So it's not a big alarm for them.
Right.
But if you're going to shoot lakes, a lot of times you just want a good sunny day.
Yeah.
And honestly, like it depends on the time of year. If you're talking spring, like a real nice sunny day, if the lake has some good structure, you're going along, you're gonna have plenty of fish in the treetops. They're gonna be sunning.
Mm.
You just gotta be aware of that as you're approaching.
Yeah.
And then also, if it's gonna be, say, uh summer,
Uh-huh.
you're gonna have times of the day that are gonna be better.
Uh-huh.
Because of course, yeah, they might be sunning in the spring and getting warm, but summertime, middle of the day, 90 degrees, probably not going to be sitting in the top 12 inches of the water just hanging
Yeah.
out. A lot of times they're under shade at that
Mhm.
point. So you're not so much looking for tops, you're looking for more overhanging
Yeah.
trees. So they're going to be under those shade
Right.
pockets.
Right.
So, but then even though it's going to be a nice day, there comes your amber lenses
Yeah.
again.
The difference was wild because I was wearing dark lenses when we were out, and you
Yeah.
could see fish 3 feet deeper than I could easily. Like compared to when I put your glasses on, I was like, well, I can see like 8 more feet than I can see with these on. No wonder I can't. Because there was a couple where you're like, shoot it right there, shoot it right there. And I'm like, where is it? I don't know. I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
And but that day, I felt like that was a cloudy day, but it was pretty cold. It was pretty cool that day, but it was cloudy and it was like kind of raining, if I remember right. We got rained on a little bit.
Yeah, we had a couple drizzle spells. Yeah.
But I think they liked. I mean, it was grass. We were fishing carp. We were bow fishing carp, and it was grass. Like we were fishing pretty heavy weeds, and we could see them going in and out of the weeds. That was probably pretty helpful.
Yeah.
As far as that kind of condition goes, but like you said on size of fish, you just said that people might not really expect it to. Like we were shooting at pretty big targets for carp. We shot pretty many large ones, and I thought that was kind of like average. But you're saying like, man, you might have to hone those skills because your size of fish might be a 15-inch. Might be an average of 15-inch carp.
Yeah. Well, so it depends on where you're at, honestly. Like when we would go shoot the Susquehanna, I mean, you'd shoot 40-pound common carp out there, and it wasn't
Not a big. Yeah.
that was nothing. I mean, you're shooting them in the 20s average, 30s, especially when they're spawning. I mean, it's crazy. But the lakes is where you just have a lot more like stunted growth.
Variety. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot more variety. And don't get me wrong, like you start talking to guys that are like really good bow fishermen around the country.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And of course, we have common carp.
Yeah.
You start talking about like buffalo carp
or
multiple other species of carp. I mean, they're just monsters.
Yeah.
So we're kind of below the average as far as our size goes, I think, especially for PA lakes, even like up at camp. I've shot that lake up there, I mean, years ago, but I filled barrels of fish up there at that lake, which was awesome lake to shoot. Super clear. It's quiet. Nobody's there.
Yeah.
But you're still talking, 20, 25-inch average. They're not monsters. 8-pound is a good, like solid, like middle of the road fish.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yep.
All right, check it out. Maybe you had a really, really good turkey season and heard tons of gobbles, and maybe you didn't, but turkey season just ended, and whether or not you had a good time, conservation is what matters most to turkey hunters. Take a second to check out Turkeys for Tomorrow. The Appalachian flock is the one you want to be looking for. June 27th, they are having a clay shoot to raise money to fund habitat projects for turkeys in Pennsylvania. And the money goes straight back into actual projects that happen in the field. There is going to be some prizes. The top shooter wins a gun. The youth shooter wins a gun. And there are plenty of raffle prizes, and kids are welcome. So make sure you go sign up. I'll put a link in the show notes. Hope to see you there. But what about conditions for salt? Because The one thing that we really love to do, and I know that I'm freaking hooked on it, is bowfish and stingrays. So what's important if it's somebody that's like, and we can talk about a rig then a little bit maybe, but man, like I got a buddy that's got a boat, or I got a boat. I want to go try to shoot the salt. So what are you looking for salt fishing? Because it's definitely a lot different. There's a lot more factors to that than freshwater.
Yeah, so wind is going to be number one. And honestly, it's more
Mm-hmm.
direction because you're not in the middle of nowhere. You're fairly close to land, so you're going to want to check some wind speed and wind
Mm-hmm.
direction. Make sure that if it's going to be super windy, that you've got the wind coming off of
Okay.
land, and then you're going to get that break for a certain period of distance. That is basically what you're going to be shooting anyway.
Right.
Unless you got some giant flats, which can happen.
Yeah.
The southern areas, Maryland, Virginia, you'll have big
Mm-hmm.
flats, bays that you can get
Mm-hmm.
into. Um, Tide is very important.
Yeah.
You're going to want to watch the tide. I like an incoming tide, and generally, depending upon where that swing's going to be, kind of like what you
Yeah.
saw, I'll plan to be there for a good incoming to high tide to
Mm-hmm.
outgoing, and then transition to going clamming.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, you're really just spinning your
It's crazy
wheels.
because it turns off as soon
Yeah,
as that
it just
tide
turns
starts
right
going
off.
out, drops a
Yeah,
foot, and it's done.
yeah,
But you can really maximize your time when you learn that tide. So I
yeah.
think what we got there, like right when it came in, or was it an hour before or something like that?
We still had good rising tide. I think we had a couple hours of rising
Yeah.
tide.
And it was
Yeah,
fantastic. I mean, I, that was something that I didn't know. Like, you always see people, um, and I know obviously it's not like this every time you go, it's different every time, but you see people catch a stingray at the beach and you're like, oh, wow, that's kind of rare.
yeah.
And then you go bow fishing for stingrays and you're like,
They're
they are
everywhere,
absolutely everywhere.
everywhere.
Like, I mean, we were going up on them and they were in groups of 10, 20, 30. They were all over the place.
Yeah,
And
everywhere.
I know, like I said, sometimes it's not like that. And maybe it's dependent on whatever they're eating or whatever. But when you get a day like that, they're just freaking loaded.
Yeah,
Pretty cool day though. I mean, that was my first time shooting. We had another guy on the boat last year that was his first time shooting, and you and Tanner, who have done it before. We ended up I had a pretty good day. We shot 16 stingrays, missed a whole pile of stingrays, and that was really cool. And the one thing that's kind of unique to, obviously people can eat flatheads if you're bow fishing for flatheads, but one thing that's pretty cool and unique to ray fishing is you can eat them, and they're pretty darn good, man.
yeah,
You
yeah. If you,
you ate a handful of them this year too, right?
yeah, if you cook them right, they're pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah, that time, were you guys in Jersey when we were in the Outer Banks? Why do I feel like you were?
I was. Yeah, I was in Jersey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I was gonna say because we cooked, you took stingray down there.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
and I made it. Yeah, I made it at the Outer Banks, and literally, I ate one piece, and the kids finished it
Oh,
all.
I made that right before I left, and I made that like, yeah, I did like a herb crusted thing and lemon juice
Yeah,
and stuff, and it's so good, man. Baked it like tuna or whatever, some
yeah,
broiled cod, whatever. It was so good, man. Um,
yeah,
my daughter was like, "Dad, this chicken's really good." I'm like,
yeah,
it's stingray actually, but she was like, "Stingray, okay." Like she's
yeah,
she's so
yeah.
used to like whatever I shot.
What are we
Yeah,
having
like
now? Yeah, what are we having
yeah,
now? That's
yeah.
funny.
So turkey's on the menu soon, thankfully. But um, I thought that was such kind of a unique thing to do, and it is fun, man. That's like one of those camaraderie things where you just get to hang out with the
Yeah,
guys, and you know, it's cool because uh, you have a boat that you like to bow fish out of, and the deck that you had built for it, and you got three guys up on the deck, right? And then somebody's driving the boat, and somebody in the middle is like right, left, and you're like
yeah,
chasing these things down. It is
yep,
so fun. And then like when everybody's just exhausted and the tide starts to go out, and you're like, man, I've been fighting all these stingrays and it's 100 degrees out and I'm pretty smoked, but it was so fun. And you're just like, let's go clamming. And dude, that was fun, man. We found like we picked up like 100 clams between. What's your limit?
We had more. We had more. It's 50
It's
a
50 a
person.
person. I think we had
Yeah,
like
we
100.
had 3/4. I think we had like 150.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
and we, that was like an hour and a half, 2 hours of walking around
Yeah.
for clams and just
Yeah.
really having a good time and stop.
Well, and don't get me wrong. Was that your first time clamming?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody that might be hearing that we're clamming, we did not have rakes.
Yeah, this is
so most people clam with a
yeah.
rake. We literally just
Walk around,
so
find a sandbar
where
and
we
walk.
were, where we were, you could buy a boat license that allowed you to be so far away from the boat. So we would anchor the boat and we would all basically walk that line and just keep circling around and loading your pockets with clams. And as soon as you thought you were done, pull the anchor, move the boat, do it again. Yeah. And, we used to rake back in the day and we would rake deeper water. And what ended up happening was you'd be raking. Well, one, you rake deeper water. I don't like to be in water past what I can see my feet in. Just because I know what's in there. I've seen it. I don't want to be with it.
Yeah.
And like we used to rake like 3-4 foot deep water. So you're basically bent over to your shoulders, just your head sticking out.
With
and you'd be going along. Yeah, the freaking horseshoe crab hits you. You step on a crab, you get your foot punctured. It just sucks. Yeah. So we started doing the shoals with no rakes, and it's just so much more fun. You can see what's going on. We're only in 12 inches of water. You can see the bottom. Yeah. So I like that a lot better. It's a lot less stressful. And also everybody can do it. When we used to go do the 4-foot deal, you take a group of people out there and you take some girls and you're like, hey, we're going to jump in here and rake this. They're like, I'm not getting in there.
It's muddy. It's gross.
Yeah. We just got done shooting stingrays. You want me to jump in there with them things? I'm not.
And they're everywhere.
Yes, they're everywhere. Exactly. Yeah. So,
and I don't know, man. It's kind of a rush too. They're a big fish. They're like, the smallest one we shot was probably 30 pounds, I would guess. And, you shot a smaller southern ray, which, by the way, if you're going to shoot stingrays strictly because you want to eat stingrays, shoot the southern ones because they are delicious. I mean, the cow nose is really good too, but the southern ray is a lot better. Very, very good. But you shot one that was like 60 pounds, and I was like, it's a big stingray. And you're like, this was all right, Yeah. So you get worn out, man, when you're fighting all those big rays,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We used to do a guys' day, a group day. A group weekend back in the day. It started with 4 or 5 of us, and we would go the first weekend of June and we would shoot stingrays in the daytime and we'd fish at night. Yeah. And by the end of the weekend, you were just dead tired. But I remember that first year we went, and mind you, we would go down Friday night, we'd leave Sunday. So you only got one day of bow fishing. But 4 of us shot 40 rays. Like I remember at one point we had 23 rays in the bottom of the boat. The barrel was full. Yeah. And they're just in the bottom of the boat because we're just smoking them. And there's 4 of us in the boat. And I had just gotten my boat that year. I couldn't even believe we got it on plane. Yeah. To run to the channel to dump these stingrays. But even at 20 times, let's just call it 30. It's 600 pounds of stingrays. Yeah, it's a lot. They're big. Plus 4 bodies, plus all your gear. Yeah, they're big. They're big animals. Do you for a rig? Now this is kind of like the economy kind of sucks. So if you're looking for a rig, you probably want to look into a used one. And I just talked about this with a guy last week. We were talking about boats. What do you think is important to tell somebody if they're kind of looking around for their first bow fishing rig? Is there things you want to look for? Can you do it out of a John boat with a trolling motor? If you're kind of like on, some kind of things like that, what works? So the only reason that my boat is the size so I'm running a Sea Arc. Yeah. 2082. I think a 2082, 20 foot long, 82 inch beam. It's huge. I mean, it's just massive. Yeah. The only reason I'm running a boat that size is because I do split it between stingrays or bow fishing and waterfowl. And it was a matter of carrying decoys, people, the stingrays, dealing with being on the water. That was my first striper boat.
Mm-hmm.
So the boat's a size for a reason.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a do-all.
Yeah.
But honestly, my favorite boat, bow fishing wise, that I ever had was a 17.5-foot G3
Mm-hmm.
with a 60/40 jet.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if we were standing in a parking lot and somehow we could magically put the pile of dead shit that I killed out of that boat in that parking lot, it would probably be a scary factor.
Yeah.
I mean, we killed ducks and geese and deer and foxes and stingrays and carp and fish
Yeah.
you name it, we killed it out of that
Yeah.
boat. But the biggest thing with somebody that's new, especially if you're going to deal with any kind of moving water,
Mm-hmm.
is that you want a boat that you can handle. You know, like my boat now on even our small rivers around here, like there's certain things I can't do.
Right.
You know, I used to whip that 17.5-foot G3 through some trestle bridges where you'd go in and have to go 90 degrees to not hit what's on the other side and kick it out and go through. And this boat, I can't do
Right.
that. It's just too
Right.
big. So, you know, I would say there'd be no fear to me to start off in a smaller boat.
Yeah.
You know, the first boat that I ever started in my early 20s was a 14-foot Alumacraft with a 56-inch
Yeah.
beam. So it was a little wider. You know, that was a straight up flat bottom, flat front. I had a 20 horse prop on it. And I mean, we took that boat to the flats. We go out on Chesapeake Bay with that boat. Won a pile of bass tournaments in that boat, shot a ton of fish, killed deer, you know what I mean? Same deal. So I wouldn't be afraid in almost any boat to jump on to go bow fishing.
Yeah. I think it's especially like if you're on lakes that are trolling motor only or whatever, like if you're just doing it for fun, man, and you want to get the carp thing going, like you can do it out of a John boat, you know? So definitely better than the shore.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So back when I first started bow fishing at all, I still remember you met Sebastian. So how old would I have been? Let me think here quick. I had to have been 21.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I even lived it where I think I lived at the time. 21, 22. I had like a 1975 Johnson 9.8 or an Evinrude 9.8 motor that barely ran. You had to pump the ball. The gas tank was under the deck that I built. Somebody had to sit there and pump the ball to keep it running. And I remember going line dancing it with the boat on the back of the truck. And when it shut down for, well, I mean, almost went all night. But anyway, when it shut down for the general line dancing at 11, we went and went and shot fish. And I remember doing it with a mag light. Like literally, we would hold a mag light and look for fish. And then when somebody would shoot, we would switch. And then the other person would hold the mag light and the other person would shoot. So, you know, before even having lights on the boat, you know, then a buddy of mine had a 17-foot bass tracker with a 35 horse prop. I bought that boat. I put it wasn't high, but I put basically like a flat deck across the whole front for like 5 foot by 6 foot. And I mounted low voltage. Yep. I mounted low voltage spotlights under it.
Oh, cool.
I put an outdoor lighting transformer on it because I'm an electrician, of course. And I had a generator that we would strap to the back, fire up the generator, and that's what we did. So that transitioned into when I bought my G3, I sold the bass tracker, and then I put true low voltage 12-volt spotlights on it that would just run off of a battery. So we get a whole night out of one charge on a deep cycle battery. It was awesome. No freaking generator. So then a buddy of mine said to me, and here's where this is going to turn sideways. Anybody that hears this that already bow fishes is going to just think I'm flat out crazy. They won't believe me even if after they hear this. So a buddy of mine,
he's believable, folks.
Buddy of mine said, "Hey, what do you think about flounder lights?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about with flounder lights?" And he's like, "Gigging lights." He's like, "You put the lights under the water." And I'm like, "How do you see?" He's like, "They're lights under the water." He's like, "Then it gives you refraction right off the fish.
Right.
You stick the light in the water, it acts like a, you know, like a crystal. The light goes out, boom, there you go." And I was like, "I don't know about this." So he orders some, rigs his boat up. I try it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So then I ordered a bunch, rigged my boat up. Man, we never killed so much stuff. You know, no generator, no sound, lights are underwater. And if somebody gets close to you, they don't even know that what you're doing.
Right.
They have no clue. I will say that one big thing that I can say about bow fishing at night, and I understand this is the fun of it, because like when we're out there, you're talking, you're joking around, but like you're essentially hunting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's at night. It's quiet. These fish aren't used to a whole lot of sound. I can't tell you how many times we see a boat with the full whole light barrage. They got a radio going. There's 6 people. They're yelling. They're hollering. Generators running. I mean, I remember one time we were behind a boat very similar to that, and these guys were just making all kinds of noise. When we came around our corner, we didn't know they were in this long cove. So we came around the corner, and there was a stretch we still wanted to do. So they were ahead of us. We just stayed back. We were about 100 yards behind them. We shot a 45-pound flathead behind them.
Oh, man.
They never saw it. It was tucked into a log. They went right over it, and it's just like, you pass over so much stuff. A lot of times, most guys don't even realize what they're driving over.
Right.
Yeah.
So fishing at night, I remember you've told me this a lot of times, and this was, I think, when you were, I don't remember if you were taking a course for bow fishing or if it was when you were getting your boating license. But you asked a question about, I fish in a lake I bow fish in a lake that's got a lot of, like, pretty large walleye population. And you said, walleyes and catfish, they look alike a lot at nighttime.
Yeah.
Can you go ahead and tell people about that? Because I think that's a pretty good thing to talk about.
So when you get on rocks, like say we'll just use 20 inches for example, a 20-inch channel cat has a very blue tint to it. So does a walleye. So I asked the question, without me saying it, everybody can probably understand why I'm asking the question. But I asked the wardens that were doing the class, and I said, hey, what happens if you have a mistake kill bow fishing? Like, I said, you've already shot it. What do you do? I said, you turn it in, and basically I'm just like, as a warden, what do you do? What do you want to see? And he's just like, he didn't get excited. He's just like, nah, he said, we understand that happens. He goes, here's the only thing I'm going to tell you. He goes, just remember, if you're over your limit, it's a felony.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. I said, so, and is walleye 5? 5.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. 5
I don't
or
catch
4,
him
whatever
enough
it is.
I don't catch him enough to be like,
I knew it at the time. I don't remember what it is now. So I said, okay. I said, so like if you're over the limit of 5, I said, then it's a big problem. But if you're under 5, like what happens then? And he goes, how do you say it? He said, well, it depends on what time of year it is. And I got to thinking, I'm like, oh. He's like, if it's not in season, 1 is over your limit and it's a felony. Right. So then it was like light bulb, ding, ding, ding. It was just like, I mean, don't get me wrong. You're not out there trying to shoot the wrong fish, but like, if I put an arrow through a 20-inch walleye, what am I going to do? Throw in the bank for coon food? I mean, you can. Yes, you can. Yeah. But, it's more so like, all right, I don't want it to go to waste. Right. That was my whole questioning point of like, if the accident happens, it's a fish. Correct. I don't want it to go to waste. So, but he made it very clear that just be careful what you're doing. Try to identify. Biggest thing I'll honestly say is that this has nothing to do with walleye. Yeah. This is strictly bass. Yeah. When you're bow fishing and you're looking at a bank, say you're, looking under trees and you're less than 3 feet deep, if it doesn't swim away, it's a game fish. Yeah. Right. Game fish don't swim away at night. Right. Carp are swimming. Right. They don't stop. They know something's up. Right. Bass are the ones that hang out there. Walleye swim. They look just like a damn channel cat, like we said. But everything else that's going to get shot at usually doesn't stick around too long. But, definitely learn to identify. Yeah. At night, it can be a little challenging. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah, during the day, the carp were pretty easy to identify. I mean, there's no Oh
There's no
yeah.
question about it. But nighttime definitely throws a different element in. So that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I remember you had asked that question about that warden, and it's kind of like, well, yeah, it doesn't not make sense, but like, you might not think to ask that question. Be like, oh, whatever, I got walleyes. It's not no big deal. Technically, can't even in Pennsylvania, you
Yeah, you
can't even
can.
shoot a
Yep.
walleye with a bow.
Correct.
Like,
Correct. And he didn't even the thing was he didn't even touch on the fact of the shooting wasn't the question. He didn't say anything about that. He just said, be aware if you're over your limit, then
it's a felony.
that's a
Right.
felony. Yeah, lose your boat, lose your truck, all that fun
Yep.
stuff.
And the thing about the thing about bow fishing in PA, like, you can shoot things with large scales, so like suckers and carp and catfish, and that's really all
Yep.
you can shoot here.
Snakeheads.
Snakeheads, right? If you can
Yeah,
find them, that
if you can find them,
yeah. Too bad we can't bowfish that lake.
right?
uh,
From a boat.
yeah, on a boat. On a boat, we could.
On
We
a boat.
could. We should get some of them green lights and throw them in there and see if we can't see some of
Yeah.
them suckers. We didn't get to do that this year. We need to go snakehead fishing.
Yeah, the weather's actually been pretty crap.
Yeah, it's kind of cold.
Yeah.
It's been like 40 degrees every morning, which is kind of weird because we did have some 90-degree temps in April.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
When we were,
yeah, like shed hunting.
we were out shed hunting
Dive.
in like the last weekend in April, and it was like 90 degrees the one day. Well, it said it was 75, but it wasn't 75. There's no way.
There's no way.
It was so hot, and none of us were really. We were like, oh yeah, I brought a liter of water. We were out for like 8 hours and 10 miles, and we're like, holy crap, dude! Like, tomorrow I'm bringing 4 liters. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But that was a fun weekend. Is there anything else that you think we need to cover for bow fishing?
So arrows.
Yeah.
I went through. So I was always a big Muzzy fan growing up, and of course Muzzy had bow fishing arrows, and they were the most reasonable.
Yeah.
I want to say back then they'd be like $16 for a bow fishing arrow with a Muzzy tip on it, and honestly, I don't know why I didn't. I should have brought some of them home from the shop when I was there today. But anyway, so a Muzzy arrow would basically have 2 barbs and then a point. And you unscrew the point, and then the barbs flip around. But they're not mechanical.
They're just like wires or something.
They're just wire that just like flips in a circle. Okay. So it might only give you, say, like a 1-inch holding span.
Right.
But they were lighter. So, in theory, you think like, oh, this is great. Like, these things are going to zoom through the water. So once we started getting into shooting flatheads, that's when I started realizing that the Muzzy arrows weren't the greatest. So then we started shooting the interlocks. I'm trying to think if there's another. No, we started shooting the interlocks. I have another brand that's a little smaller that I tried, but the interlocks honestly are they're bulletproof. And if you take care of them, like for me, especially going from the salt to freshwater, like they get lubed up. I'll do some WD-40 silicone in there, keep them cleaned up as best you can. They get jammed up, open the barbs, grab the pliers, break them free, work them loose. The looser they are, or the more easier they're working, it's going to speed up your process. If you get them jammed up, you're going to get in trouble. Because you got a barb and a fish, and you got to push it through, and then you got to fight with it.
Right. Just easier to twist
I would
off
say
the end,
it is, yeah. But arrows, honestly, that was the biggest thing that we learned was just arrows, making sure you got good, sharp points, good heads. I always carry a little box of extra parts. I've got AMS slides. I've got the slide stoppers. Make sure your slide stoppers are tight. It's going to sound wild, but everybody wants to get crazy about the knot they tie on, the actual slide. I tie 3 square knots. 3.
Right.
Nothing crazy. Literally 3 square knots, cinch it tight, and I want to have a 4-inch tail. My tail is my flag that tells me if I'm in trouble or not.
Where it's pulling too tight or whatever. Yeah.
There you go. So if I'm shooting and my tag gets short, I know something went wrong.
Right.
But other than that, there's never been another not that, you know what I mean? We've shot 180-pound stingrays
Right.
and nothing ever pulled
Right.
off. So,
Well, and I think that's something key too to the arrows is like you can't shoot with a standard carp arrow. Like if you're getting those little wire ones, you couldn't shoot I mean, I guess you could shoot a stingray with it, but you're gonna have
you,
trouble.
yeah, you need that big expanded
Yeah,
head once you punch through to actually truly hold. I mean, how many did Josh lose that day?
I don't know,
Which I don't know why he kept losing them, but he probably lost 3.
3 or 4. Yeah,
And that was with a good interlock
yeah,
head. Yeah.
yeah. And that's, I mean, and because they're not like a carp, like they're like doing, they're big, they're just, and
Yes.
they're powerful. I mean,
Yep. Yep.
you're hand lining these things in with basically rope, and it's like,
Well, string.
yeah, and it's like fishing
Yeah.
it's like catching a giant striper or whatever. I mean, it's not a shark, but
Yeah.
it's
And,
pretty wild. But that's
yeah.
I love this is something cool that like I said, I'm getting to know you, of getting to try these new things, and because we always talk about the reason we ended up doing this podcast, and you were kind of like a big influence in the beginning on like, man, we got to get this, like, talk about stories, and yeah, the tips and techniques and stuff need to be woven in there, and everything needs to kind of go together so people can take away some usable information. But I think the cool thing is just doing everything is fun
Oh,
because it's
yeah.
never boring. Like we're always doing something, and oh, what do you got going on this week? Oh, whatever, we'll try to do this, like, oh, we're going shark fishing next week. Oh, we're gonna try this fish in a bay next week. Striper fishing. Oh, we're gonna go catch crappies. Okay, deer hunting time. Like all the different things, and it's pretty cool, man. What I guess I don't know if this is something that's important to you. What kind of environmental impact do you think bow fishing has, or the goal of bow fishing would be to have on, say, your home body lake that's full of carp?
So, one of the big reasons why I started bow fishing was that I used to fish a lot of bass
Yeah,
tournaments. And I just knew that, you know, carp are, they're nest
right.
raiders. So, once I kind of learned the ropes on bow fishing, then we really put a hurting on them at our lake. And, the crazy part is, I mean, there's more guys doing it now than there were.
Yeah,
But one night last year, and my big boat really honestly has never been rigged up for lights.
right,
So we're talking like 5 years, even till now, since I've really night
right.
shot. Besides, I have a buddy that I go on his boat every
Yeah,
year. But Rick and I went last year and filled a half a
yeah,
barrel. No
yeah.
question, you know. And there's guys there now. I can't speak for how many they're shooting. That's the biggest thing that I'll say is that, like, if it's a good night and there's fish, I mean, as long as you're not botching it up left and right, I mean, you can mop them up,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know. A buddy of mine, Troy, he used to bow fish with me a lot back in the
Mm-hmm.
day. I shot one of my I did shoot my biggest fish I've ever
Yeah.
shot with a bow.
There he is. There he is,
Yeah, that
folks.
grass carp. Yeah, that was a 52-pound grass carp. But and honestly, I'll tell you that story in a second. But Troy and I were out one night. I mean, right. I mean, the sun was cresting, and I think we shot 93.
Phew.
And it was like, there weren't big ones. They were shooting 93 15-inch
Yeah.
fish. So you got to work for
Yeah.
it, but you get the hang of it, and it goes pretty good. I've had other nights where we shot 80 some,
Yeah.
so there's been some good nights had. That carp there, this thing literally lived around this one, what was it? It was cattail patch. This really odd cattail patch. First night we go in there, I see it at like a really good distance out in front of the boat, and I miss it. And like I just knew it was a giant carp, but I didn't know what it was exactly.
Yeah.
So we go in there like a week later. This time, I'm looking in front of the boat, and this time the damn thing comes out from the cattails and goes between the boat, and it's behind the boat. This time I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding
Yeah.
me. So we shot for a night, and I was like, all right, let's call it a night. But let's go over to that cove and try
Yeah.
again. And this time we get in there, and he swims right up in front of me. Boom, pop him, shot him again, get him in the boat, and we were like, what in the world?
Yeah.
So I had shot some other big grass carp out of there, but never anything that was this
Yeah.
big. We shot him in the low 40s. but never in the
Yeah.
50s.
It's a big fish. It's a really big fish.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll have to post a picture of that one. I think you have a picture. I'll have to post a picture
Yep.
of that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll get you some pictures. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting on the boat with you and doing a little of this again this year. And you know, we got all kinds of stuff we want to do this summer.
Oh yeah.
We got to clean out the lake. Got to
Yeah.
clean out the
You gotta
lake.
clean out the lake.
Gotta clean out the lake.
Yeah.
Of panfish and all the things, and maybe mop up some carp. I think now, obviously, I haven't done it for a while, but I think I got the aiming down a little bit. The stingray is obviously a bigger target, but that last one, I shot that thing right in the middle of the back and just made him float.
Stoned it. Yeah.
I think I got the hang of it now, but
yeah.
At least I hope so. Dude, hour and 10 minutes of bow fishing. I love it. Where can people find you at, buddy?
So Instagram's going to be bow_Yoder.
Sounds right.
And then I think so. And then Facebook is just Rich Yoder.
Yeah. And Rich is a connoisseur of all the predator hunting things. Go back and listen to the predator episode with Rich, because there's a lot of good information, some good stories, and we'll have more of that coming, because we always like to get on here and catch up. So good having you, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, no problem.
Well, that's a wrap, InCamp. Thanks so much for tuning in to hear Rich and my conversation about bow fishing. Check out the links in the show notes for the information on the turkey hunt and to check out the stuff for Bird Dog Custom Woodwork. I know you're going to love it. Thanks so much for coming back week after week. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys tuning in and all the support. It's been an awesome ride. So keep coming back for more. Thanks again. This is InCamp Podcast.